We wanted to have Dan Pope in the house. Dan's running for mayor as well, 2016, three-way race right now. Welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, just kind of give us a real quick, I kind of know where you've been, who you are, what you do or did. Just kind of give us a status update on give us your Vita.
Eighth generation Texan. Grew up in Central Texas. My parents met at Texas Tech in the 50s, so I really never had any choice about where I was going to go to college. Came here was here in the early 80s. Left Tech and went to work for Xerox Corporation. Spent nearly 10 years there. Came back here in 1994, and my wife and I started a small business here, which we owned and operated for nearly 20 years, and had a chance to sell it a few years ago. Two children, both in college. Spent a lot of time doing things in the community. I have a heart for service. Most recently, 9 years on the Lubbock School Board, Lubbock ISD School Board. So
still serving?
Yeah, still serving. President of the board as we speak right now. But that's a bit of background on me.
Okay. Obviously, a lot of the big issues are going to be power generation, hidden fees, stormwater, annexation, all the stuff that...
Citizens Tower.
Yeah. Wow. I think a lot of those issues, even though they're front burner, I really don't see those as being the issues that are going to make or break, the city of Lubbock. How stuff gets done is more important than what gets done, because that's the stuff that trickles down for generations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree.
So what's your vision for the office? Kind of give me a diagnosis, or do a diagnosis, if you will, and just say, hey, this is what I think is wrong. This is what I think, how we can fix it infrastructurally, systemically, not just saying, well, I think we should have free pizza on Friday and, no stormwater fees.
Yeah, so my leadership style is one of building consensus. I think I can bring a bit of stability to City Hall. I think City Hall needs to become more responsive to citizens. I think sometimes maybe we've lost sight of why they exist, and so we talk about accountability and responsiveness, those type things, transparency, openness. I think at the end of the day, it's about at least at City Hall, it's about creating an organization that serves citizens. Now, as for my vision for the community, there's a lot of great things about Lubbock, Texas, and I think we often apologize for ourselves, and so you're not going to hear me apologize for Lubbock. I'm going to talk about Lubbock. It's just a great time to be in Lubbock, Texas. Think about everything that we've got going for us. We do have a great water solution for the next 100 years. We've got low unemployment. We've got an economy that's very resilient. Doesn't have a lot of ups and downs. It's pretty steady. We're growing at a steady rate. We've got the energy that goes along with Texas Tech and the growth there, but also with LCU and Wayland and South Plains College. So I believe that we focus on what's important. We try to do a few things well. And you'll hear me talk about hiring a city manager. I think that's job one. I think that's more important than anything else we've got in front of us. It's we've got to hire a CEO for our city. You'll hear me talking a lot about living within our means. We've got to live within our budget. It doesn't make sense that we've been financing, swiping the credit card, if you will, basic maintenance. We've got to find a way to say no to certain things so we can take care of what we have, while at the same time supporting growth. You can do both, but it doesn't mean that you won't have to make some hard decisions.
What do you see as the most challenging job for the next mayor?
I think probably hiring the city manager. I think that's the most important job. We're a council mayor form of government. You guys know, but many of your viewers may not. But the mayor makes $75 a month. That's 3 times what the council people make. Council members make. They make $25 a month. But the way our charter is written,
that's why he's in the race.
For the big
You're in it for the money.
That's for the big bucks. the way our charter's written, the CEO of the city is the city manager, and he or she runs the city, and they answer to the council, as does the city attorney and the city secretary. Everybody else works for the city manager, and it's important that you have that person in place that can help with the council set direction for the city, create a culture where people want to come to work. Back to the point about being responsive to citizens, but that to me, I think is the biggest challenge.
In essence, really, and I never really, well, I have, but haven't necessarily pinned it down and defined it in those terms. But really, the city manager is relatively the CEO of the city. Accountable to the board of directors, which that would be what our city council would be.
That's exactly right.
So anyway, that's you're no stranger to that environment. You've got a lot of experience, with the school board and Xerox Corporation, et cetera. So anyway, if you got a question or comment for Dan Pope, 770-5790, you can ring us up. Right now, it's 16 minutes after the hour. Good morning. This is Lubbock's First News. Right now, we got Dan Pope in the house. Dan's candidate for mayor 2016 for the municipality of Lubbock, Texas. Back into the conversation, Dan, in previous interviews with other candidates, on Friday we spoke with Victor, and Victor had indicated that he felt like 10% of the population was being served. My question was, so 90% of the population is underserved. One word answer, ignored. And you say?
I don't quite understand his perspective on that. I would say that there's probably 10% that are very loud. I think there is a very vocal minority, but I think that's pretty typical. I think city government is set up to serve all the citizens. I think I would have to relate back to my experience on the school board, but I think when we talk about every child every day, whether they're in the Estacada feeder pattern or the Lubbock High feeder pattern, Coronado, Monterey, we want to talk. It's about serving every child, and by doing that, their family and the taxpayers who will eventually rely on them to be part of our workforce. So I can't speak to Mr. Hernandez's opinion on that, but I can't agree that 90% are being ignored.
Well, granted, even in church environments, in any environment, Laura, it's that 80-20 rule. 20% of the people generally do 20% of the talking, or 20% of the people do 80% of the talking and 80% of the giving.
And 80% of the work often, too.
Yeah. That's the thing.
But, one thing, there's a guy who was a pastor of my church. His name was John Donnerberg. He had some really profound advice. We were talking about, supporting the body of the church. He said it's not about equal giving. It's about equal sacrifice. How does that play out in a municipality like Lubbock when you have people that are keeping score in every column?
Well, I don't know about the people that keep score every day. I think the way it plays out, though, is that the city government should live within its means. The city government should support strong police department and fire department. The city government should keep our streets repaired, and they should empty our trash. The basic. We need to do the basics very well. I think when you do that, you serve everyone. I don't think anybody sacrifices in a situation like that. I think generally people score the government based upon the value they get for the dollars they pay in taxes. And I think as any time you're spending the people's money, you've got to make sure that you spend it like you would spend your very own money. You need to make sure that at the end of the month there's still money there. You don't want to spend money you don't have. So I think that's how people keep scoring.
How important do you think it is to look at someone's personal management practices where they've been, how they got there, and what their status is. How important do you think that is in a city government thing? I mean, do you think it's an indicator of a management style? In other words, like, if I'm having problems in one area, what qualifies me to give somebody else counsel in that same area?
Well, I think what you look when you're trying to make a decision, I think you look for someone who's has a body of work or a set of life experiences that you feel like qualify them to do a job. Much like you would when you would go go see a physician, you very well would get on the web and check and check that, or if you're going to hire a plumber, you're going to see what kind of reputation the plumber has. I think same thing goes for running for office. I think you're looking for people who've proven their ability to work within budgets, to work on teams, to build teams, to recruit, train, retain employees, those type of things. And I think I have, frankly, I think that's one of the things that gives me an advantage as I approach this race.
Interesting. What's Dan Pope doing like right now? Because I know you had your business
Besides
that you
running
guys
for mayor.
Yeah, right. Besides running for mayor
and being on the school board.
Right. So in addition to those two high-paying jobs, I'm doing some consulting work at Covenant Health System. I'm helping them raise money for the capital investment projects they're doing. Covenant's doing about $450 million worth of projects over a 7-year period, and their philanthropy is a very small portion of that. But I'm helping lead that effort.
Well, could I get you to help me with my kids' college tuition?
Yeah, I got 2 of those too. That's
Right.
That's why I'm working.
All right. As far as this race goes, do you think this is going to turn into just kind of a taste and compare, or do you think this is going to be one of those things that, or a race that has a lot of areas that get blown out of proportion? I mean, I know that people don't want to take it to that level, but oftentimes it gets away anyway. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I can tell you that from our side, we're going to talk about issues. We're going to talk about what makes us different, how we would govern. We'll talk about the future. We'll talk about doing things differently. One of the great advantages I think I have in this race is that today the two people that are in the race with me are both former city council people. One today, one sitting today. And they've got a record of the way they've done things. I've got a record of doing things differently.
Yeah, I can see that. We for certain have 3 candidates with 3 different pools of experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be an interesting race.
It certainly will be.
Thank you for coming in this morning.
Yeah, I do appreciate that, and we'll be in touch for sure.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I look forward to coming back.
Thank you very much for coming on. That's Dan Pope. He's running for mayor 2016. Of course, it's a 3-way race right now. Victor Hernandez, Todd Klein, and Dan Pope. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to give you some information about the Diamond Spectacular this Friday at Samuel's Diamond, 7310 Quaker Avenue. Cheryl Isaacs is coming up at 7:39. Oh, the real estate diva of West Texas.